Well, I will just say the thing I'm good at is having grace with my daily disciplines, and I do get everything done, but it might be all over the place. So in a perfect world, on a daily basis, I would go in and make my calls, which has been a lot more consistent now that I'm 3 minutes away. Yeah. When I was driving to Corona and it was 45 minutes to an hour, it was not working, right? Only because it took so long and the traffic was bad, and hours of commuting did not work well for me. So I am pretty good at least teaching and doing it most of the time, which is the calls, in the morning. Just like anything else, you got to get it done. But I would argue that you need to do it in the evening too, because a lot of people aren't awake in the morning. So you can't be so rigid. If you don't have appointments, you should go back making calls. If you're home with your kids, I got to run out 15 minutes. Let me just make these calls real quick, right? You just got to do it. We have this saying in homeschooling, like it just happens when it happens sometimes. So every day is not going to be perfect. I wish I could tell you it's 9 to 11, and I do like all those regimented, like people come up here and posture and say they do all this. But I know things happen, they hit traffic, this happens, that happens, something reschedules, but I still make sure that I'm at least making my calls. Like every day, that's something I don't miss. It just happens when it happens, if it has to.
I just wanted to add with that, I think that when I first, depending on where you're at, so when I first went full time, especially when you're an employee, you work better at having a schedule. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I first started, I needed a schedule because that's what I was used to.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning, like Natalie now, she's in a position where she is a lot more effective. She can do a lot of things that cannot be all of us in the beginning. So for me, I have to have a schedule. I have to be able to say, I've always had free time. It might not be all the time, but I do it all the time twice. So depending, if you're working full time, if you have a full-time job, then you have to schedule it. When I used to be a probation officer, I would just go to my car and be like consistent every day, making calls or in the evening. So I think that in the beginning when you're in the business, you have to have a schedule, and you have to be, because if you don't have it on your calendar, you're not gonna do it. So that's one of the things that Natalie shows us, that if it's important and you've got a prospect, you're gonna make calls, they should be on your calendar. Like you should be, and it might be different every week, especially if you have parents and your mom and all this, but it should be in your schedule, the things that make you effective. Like if you're not in the field, you should be making calls. Like you should be watching TV. Things like that. I think that in the beginning you have to have that. She's in a position where she's a lot more effective, which is what I'm trying to get to. And
but
she has a schedule.
but I still follow, like, I'll tell you, like today, for example, I was in the office by myself. I went to Starbucks, I met with this lady, and then I went straight to the office. And then on GroupMe later, some of my teammates were there, and I was like, man, you missed me. I was already there. They don't even know, right? They don't even know. I'm still like, I'll still go do what I need to do because I have to teach people how to do it. I have to show them. But a lot of times what I'll do to get myself to do it, this is like $1 million thing right here, I always have people come with me. So even when I had no team and I first moved here, I was like, hey, I don't know if you guys remember, we had group texts. So I'd be like, hey, I'm going to be in the office making calls if you want to come listen. Right? Not because I had an ego, because I needed somebody there so I would actually do the work. Because otherwise I would talk to myself, who likes making cold business cards? Nobody. But if I had somebody there and they're like, ooh, you're going to make calls in front of me, I had to do it. So it forced me to do it. So I would be there, and sometimes I would get locked out and I'd be outside making calls. Sometimes I'd be in the kitchen because I didn't really have a place to go. But I was like, hey, you want to come with me? Right? You want to come see me do this? Because if they were there, then I couldn't have an excuse. Right? So I try to do that now, but I don't limit to just my team. So I open it up to we have all these people that aren't a part of Kingdom Builders that come to our night, BPM, and I'm totally fine with it because it brings energy, but I allow them, if they want to go on the appointment, they're on my group and I say, hey, I have an appointment, who wants to go? If they show up, cool, let's do it, right? You could be on my appointment, I don't care. I'd rather at least I'm duplicating myself. So, and at your stage in the business, I would do that. I would be like, hey, come with me. Who wants to come? And nobody here is going to argue if you're training somebody to how to make calls, right? If somebody on my team, if Liz says, hey, I got you, your new person. One of the ladies in my base shop is her assistant, and she helps her, does one-on-ones, gives her matchup, but she's in my base and she lives in Orange. So she helps her all the time. And she has a team in Canyon Lake. We literally don't even pay attention to that. We're just like, all right, here, boom, 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 right? We're helping each other, but it helps us to be disciplined. Because she knows if somebody's not there, she's still doing it, but not at the same rate. I'm not going to say I only made 2 calls if somebody's there, right? I might only make 2 calls if it's just me in that moment. But if there's a team there, I'm like, oh no, I got to make my calls. I got to show the example. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Most people don't want to put themselves in that position because they don't want to be, they don't want to do it in front of their teams, or they're too cool. I don't have an ego. Most people have no idea my title. They don't know, my cash flow, any of that, except for the ring, right? have no clue because I'm just like doing the grind. You know, we still take out the trash because we don't have cleaning people in Canyon Lake, right? So everybody has their own day that they clean, right? That's just the way it is. So it's just, you know, you just got to do the work. It really is dirty when it's, you know, but I make my kids do it. Okay. Leverage. Anybody else? Any other questions? I'm so happy there was questions. There's never any questions. Well, thank you for having me. I love coming to, you know, because, you know, my team, they get sick of hearing from me. They don't say it, but they don't react like this. They don't ask me questions. They're like, oh my gosh, is she going to talk again, right? You invite them all that you know and one show up, right? You're like, hey, who wants to go? Okay, nobody. But when it's somebody else's team, man, they just eat it up, right? And I'm sure Christopher says all this stuff, but it's different when it's somebody else. So I appreciate you guys' what do you call it,